USA Today published an article by Stephen Strauss who sent a very clear message to the Clintons that I think other members of the Democratic Party establishment also need to hear. He argues President Obama famously said a key element of his strategy is don't do stupid shit. Hillary Clinton was unable to learn this simple lesson despite losing to Obama in the 2008 Democratic primary and serving in Obama's cabinet for 4 years thereafter. The Clintons, of all people, should have been aware of the challenges of a presidential campaign, yet they still did an amazing number of stupid things. Hillary Clinton and her allies have blamed her election loss on the investigation of her private email server, especially FBI Director James Comey's letter telling Congress he was revisiting that investigation just days before the election. The unprecedented decision to put all of Clinton's emails on a private server, however, was made by her and her team. It should have been obvious to anyone that a Secretary of State hosting their own email server without even bothering to get approval from the State Department in her own house was going to seem odd and trigger questions. Fundraising for the Clinton Foundation resulted in more foolishness. Any high school graduate would have known that donations to the Clinton Foundation from the world's leading kleptocrats and autocrats while she was serving as Secretary of State were going to raise questions. From 2001 through 2015, the Clintons earned more than $150 million in speaking fees, and Hillary Clinton alone is estimated to have earned about $20 million of such fees from 2013 to 2015, often paid by the rich, infamous, and/or kleptocratic. Another very short-sighted move. Imagine if instead Clinton had spent 2013 to 2015 giving free speeches at community colleges and high schools in the Midwest and battleground states. It would have built a lot of support and goodwill. Because of this election, millions of Americans could lose their health insurance, and the Supreme Court might turn conservative and stay that way for a generation, probably endangering reproductive and lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender rights. Let me make a suggestion to Bill and Hillary Clinton. You've done quite enough damage. Keep your money and stay out of politics. Wow, that was fantastic, and there's more to it, so I will have a link to the full article in the description box, but he said what they needed to say. Or what they needed to hear. Hillary Clinton made every single mistake that you shouldn't make. Really, what she wanted was to have her cake and eat it too. She wanted to be overtly corrupt and then still think that the American people would come out to support her in spite of this corruption. But that's not the way that politics works. The American people, even though we do stupid things, and the stereotype is that we're very stupid, and many of us are very stupid, we're aware of basic things. We know if someone is screwing us over, we can smell bullshit. And it was very apparent that Hillary Clinton was conning over her supporters. She was trying to be a faux populist, but in actuality, she would get in office and do nothing but the bidding of her donors. That would be the first phone call she makes, is to all of her donors to thank them. And this is evidenced by the fact that she's not throwing a party right now to thank her grassroots activists who were knocking on doors and phone banking for her. She's throwing a party with limousine liberals and liberal party elites that donated millions to her campaign to thank them. So Hillary Clinton conned over her voters, and I do feel bad that they did buy into the narrative that she was a so-called progressive, because it's not. She's not a progressive. It's very obvious. Now, am I saying that Donald Trump is a better candidate, or implying that he also didn't con over voters? No, he conned over every single one of his supporters, and they kind of fucked themselves over by supporting Donald Trump, because in many states that supported Donald Trump, those people, the same people who voted Trump, are going to lose their health insurance if he does, in fact, repeal Obamacare. So they voted against their own interests, but Hillary Clinton's supporters also voted against their own interests. And I'm going to state this again because I think it's really important. The reason why progressives are still harping away at this and are still criticizing Hillary Clinton and really highlighting the worst things that she did throughout the campaign is because we need Democrats to pay attention. This is what we desperately need. If you guys don't get your shit together, we're going to have Trump for 8 years instead of just 4, and we really don't want that to happen. We all have a vested interest as the left, as liberals, regardless if you're on the far left like myself or the center left or just the right. We all want to defeat Donald Trump in 2020. You have 4 years to get your act together, and the first part of correcting the problems is admitting that you have a problem in the first place. So realize that Hillary Clinton was a flawed candidate and that you fucked up, and allow Keith Ellison to take over the DNC, and then actually change some things. I mean, stop taking large contributions from corporations. Bernie Sanders proved that you don't need a super PAC. You don't need millions of dollars from wealthy donors to win an election, and he probably would have won if the conditions were different, if the DNC didn't try to limit debates and rig the primaries and smear Bernie Sanders and his supporters. So we really need, the takeaways that we really need Democrats to listen to progressives, because we've been doing things your way for decades now, since Bill Clinton took office, and this era of neoliberal Democrats, it's got to end. It's over. You guys had your chance, and you lost. I'm really glad that USA Today published this, because it's everything that the establishment needed to hear.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.